Hello, a very good evening a very good evening. I'm so sorry. A cherry welcome to this first episode of Parenting Hacks with Modern Asian Mother. So, for those of you who know me, I've had this for a while, and then I stopped to focus on a social enterprise called S.P.A.C.E, which is still around. So, do join the group. So, my passion has always been to support parents from lesson I've learned. So, given I've got 5 kids, 4 all the way to 15 years old, I've made so many mistakes. I thought it would really be a waste to keep these gems to myself. So follow me on this Facebook. Subscribe to me if you're watching this on YouTube. Yes, I do have a Modern Asian Mother YouTube channel. If you want to get my weekly update, so I'm going to be doing it on Tuesday and Thursdays. Tuesdays will be a focus on primary school and younger age, and Thursdays will be the similar topic but customized and tailored for teenagers. And as you follow or subscribe, remember to turn on your notification bell or the alert so that you'll get the alert. Otherwise, there's a high chance that YouTube or Facebook will not push it to you. Okay. So for this morning, I wanted to get a sense of the people who are with me now. What is the age group of your kids for now? If you can just type in the comment their age. For me, mine this year would be 4, 6, 8, 10, and 15. 4, 6, 8, 10, and 15. Yeah. 4, 7, 9, 11, and 15. Every time I start a new year, I just flatten it out again. I want to get a sense of how old your kids are. If you can type it so that when I share the examples, it will be relevant for you. And feel free to ask me the questions that you have as we go along. If you disagree with me, that will be even better because it tells me that you're actually engaged with me. And I'm not about you agreeing completely. I'm about you applying it so it works for you. So if you're not sure, please type it in. Okay? And throughout, if you hear something that you like, do send me a thumbs up, some love, or even better, create a watch party by sharing this video if you are on Facebook, okay? So I want to get into our proper because I was so excited preparing for this last night. Let me share the screen that I have with you. So this is the screen that I have. Yeah, can you see this? I think I make myself smaller so I can share the screen. Okay, so welcome to Hacks for Stubborn Kids. And this is a topic that's very close to my heart because with 5 kids, right, 3 of them is who I would label, and I'm conscious of that, okay, stubborn. So I'm not going into the definition of it, but more for us to get a sense of, that strong-willed child who everybody can quietly comply, and this child will not, but they challenge and challenge and challenge and challenge until sometimes we give in, or we really get frustrated. So with varying degrees, my number 4, 3, and number 1 are stubborn. So got a lot of experience, okay? So before I start, I want to warn you that I am controversial, like my book. Can I have my book? I'm controversial like my book because, okay, I want to share this, okay? Because we really are in a new era. And in the beginning of my parenting journey, I really just did how my parents parented me. And I was met with limited results. And after so many trials and errors, I've realized that there is no book to teach us how to ease into this digital age where there are different skill sets, where the old authority models of the 4 no longer are valid, okay? So it means my heart is I care to inspire our kids to success, not to be a more of yesteryears. And I know there are a lot of parents, moms and dads who are in this new generation of parenting. That's why we're so open and we are seeking for what works. We no longer parent from how our parents parented us, okay? So 3 myths to debunk. Okay, so this is the book I was talking about, right? And later I'll share why, okay? I bring that book up. The first one is this. Let me move on to this. Okay, that we are right. Can you see my screen? If you can see it, just put a yes. If my screen is clear for you, just put a yes. So the 3 myths to debunk, right? The first myth is that we as parents are always right. I'm going to pause here for a while. And I'm going to let us just think through, okay? Because aren't we right when we teach our kids good values to respect our elders or to do well in school? I mean, these are things that we assume are right, right? So if they are right, then they should be doing it, right? So let me play a bit of the devil's advocate. Remember, okay? So really, my question is this, right? When we teach our kids about respect, what does respect in its totality mean? So for example, if the elder that we teach them to respect may have bad intentions on the kids, are we telling our kids to just keep quiet and just submit to the elder because they are elder, because of their position? Okay. And then the other thing I want to talk about studies. Even if my child does well, and this is from someone who graduated, okay, from NUS, it just shows that they know and they understand the system well. And Singapore has a great system, but at the same time, it is rigid. Having graduated, it didn't prepare me for the real life out there. So while it is an excellent system, there may be other parts that we could continue to add into it. And as we see it that way, right, maybe could we begin to be open to see that our perspective may not always be right. Okay. The second one that I want to touch on is we know what's best. So maybe there are some of us who say, okay, Junior, I agree. What may be right, I'm willing to let it go. But I eat salt more than they eat rice, right? So from my experience, when I do what I do, it's from wanting what's best from them. And I completely identify with you because all of us want the best. We want to set our kids up for success. And this is where I'm going to say, best, the word really best, and if you will look, right, what I write, it comes from our experiences. What I write, the word there is our belief, right? It only comes from my experiences. Why I say that is because, for example, if I had a negative experience with a dog when I was younger, it would definitely give me the belief that dogs are dangerous, right? So can you imagine as I grow up, not identifying that that was just my isolated experience and it does not apply across the board as a fact, right? I grow up when my kid wants a dog or goes near to a dog, I'm not saying that we do, unconsciously, because all this is hidden in the background. If we were conscious, of course, we wouldn't do that. But I invite us to look at the different areas in our life where we are automatically assuming that we are right or that we know what's best. Because even if we think we know what's best, like what I opened up earlier, we are in a new digital era where we and them are both finding our way. Could we be humble to explore with them? And the third one I want to move into is disobedience is bad. This is, I don't know about you, okay, but I grew up in an era where obedience or good behavior is the prize, is how we should be, is what kids were rewarded for. So this is if you can't see the screen, right, I just want to read this to us. This thing that I got. Disobedience, number one, reiterates, it's a further myth that I want to debunk because it doesn't mean that it's right to always be obedient. It doesn't mean that it's in their best interest when they are obedient even. And I want to read this quote to you, okay? And I want to ask you, which would you prefer? Morality is doing what's right, regardless of what you're told. Okay, morality, doing what's right, regardless of what you're told. Obedience is doing what you're told, regardless of what's right. Would you prefer to bring our kids up in an environment of morality where they can stand in the face where the kids are where their friends are doing something else and choose to not join their friends, in fact, walk away or be the advocate to say, stop it now? Or do we want to bring up compliant children who just do what they're told, regardless of what's right? Because, and I want to be the first to admit this, right? Having, I told you all from the start, my first one is a strong-willed child. So when I was younger, and I'm also strong-willed, okay, so it's going to unfold. I want to share the acronym S.P.A.C.E and how it can, okay, let me make sure you are seeing, okay, so this is the, okay, sorry, before I go into the acronym S.P.A.C.E, I want to further dwell on the 3 myths, okay? So back to the first one, right? When we choose to do what's right, I was excellent at breaking my eldest daughter's will. she didn't do what I wanted her to do, I would scold her, I would punish her. Until one day I realized that I was chipping away at her self-esteem and the relationship. So parents, even if you, as you hear into the beginning, and you're still so sure that no, this is right, it's definitely right, and I'm going to force them to do it, even if that, yes, okay, that's just one perspective. And with perspective, okay, so for example, if I ask you, can you see this cup? Okay, and then I say it has the word Starbucks. Would you agree with me, or would you say no, Junior? There's no green words Starbucks. So we could be arguing about this, right? Where I say there is Starbucks, you're saying there's no Starbucks. Until I turn around to show you that's not just the logo, but from my angle, there is the word alphabet spelled out Starbucks here, and I begin to see your perspective. That for you, you were not trying to be difficult, but really you couldn't see the word because from your perspective, it's completely different from mine. So that's what I want to talk about, perspective. So, and as I grow it bigger, yes, we may be right. Okay, so let's look at perspective, right? But at what cost? So I invite us to look, because so often, I'm going to say this, right, parents? If you don't like me, I'm so sorry, but my heart here is to really say what needs to be said, because I apply it to myself. I remember the first time where I was so strong against my kid. Guess who wins? Of course it's me. I'm the parent. I've got the louder voice. I'm bigger. I'm supposed to be the authoritative figure. So I win. But at what cost? You know, my elders became very quiet. And I thought, that's okay, right? Like, she would do what I asked her to do. But over time, I realized that she was quiet, not just at home, but even in school. And I didn't understand all that, right? Because I'm thinking, let's bring the kid up. Yeah, I know what's best. I know what's right. I'm trying the best I can to teach her what I know. Until one day, as I began, I read this quote, right, where that says, children learn what they live. And basically, the one line that really hit me in the face was, when children grow up with criticism, they learn to condemn. And as I read the entire, I have it in my book here, poem. If you can Google, it says children learn what they live. Yeah, I teared. It was quietly in the bookshop. I bought that particular. I don't want to waste. I bought that particular poem, hid it in my room, but from that day, that was the change. Where I went to my daughter, I apologized to her, and I told her from now on, Mommy is not going to assume that I know it all, because I don't. Okay. And then the second one, I want to quickly move into the myth so that we can get onto the space. We always assume we know what's best. And I said, it's not just from our experiences, but can we increase that perspective and our belief system to understand that, yes, Junior may know that I love my mocha every morning, but my child may be allergic to coffee because they each have different temperaments, preferences, personalities, and giftings. So while I may be an extrovert, telling my child, come on, you must go on stage, you need to be able to speak to the audience, may not serve them, because it's what comes to me naturally. It's my natural strength. But if I were to put my introverted child on the stage, it will completely drain them and make them feel that I'm not good enough. I'm not like my mom. But who says that my children have to be like me? I don't want that to happen. I want them to be the best version of them. And it's on me helping them with the experiences that I have in life to help them discover what their uniqueness is, what their purpose and their destiny is. And then to me, my job as a steward, I think, would be considered faithful, not making them a mold of who I am, but exploring the world with them. And the third one, I really want to raise, type in yes if this is you, a secure and curious child, not one who blindly follows with a little ability for reasoning. So on Thursday, I will cover that. But the simple thing about this is, many of us are not prepared when our kids begin to challenge us, and that happens at around 2 years old. But I want you to know that that's completely normal. Just like, when the kids grow bigger, we celebrate, right? We're like, oh, your child looks so much like you. They've grown bigger. Chinese New Year is coming up, right? And yet, because we cannot see the inside, Their intellect is beginning to grow. Their will is beginning to grow. Their emotions as well. We do not give these internal faculties, I would call, due justice, and we try to suppress it. So I'll cover more of it on the teenage one this Thursday. But for now, my heart is that for as long as I'm with my children, I build in them the ability to reason for themselves. I help them connect the dots, because isn't that what they will need as they grow up? Yeah. So if you have any questions, I want to break here. Do type them in. And I want to go to space. Okay, if you're enjoying it, please give me a thumbs up. So the acronyms have come out. So now we know what it's not, right? Let's remove all those. And with humility, let me share. The first, just remember these acronyms. I took a long time coming up with this, right? SPACE, so that you will remember. The next time your child shouts at you, just remember, Junior says SPACE. What does S stands for? S stands for stop. Literally a space. Why I say that is, can I really get honest? Often when there is a power struggle, when we are really angry, it's really our stubbornness against theirs. So why I say that, right, is Newton's third law in motion, right? So for example, this is Junior, this is my eldest, right? When we clash, so for example, it could be on anything, right? I want her to eat her lunch now. She wants to not eat even. So we clash. And when we clash, Newton's law says a force will exert the equal amount in the opposing direction, right? So this is who we are. And I invite us, right? We are wiser, right? So let's stop throwing our adult tantrum. And if we choose to stop, notice, I want you to just push, right? Both hands. If one chooses to stop, there really is no fight anymore. The first time I tried this, was amazing. Okay. Later I'll share with you. Let me think. Later I'll share with you in the second example, how I choose to stop. So when we choose the ill, there is no opposing force, because force is two direction, right? So just stop and quietly walk away. We do not have to entertain them in the moment when I'm angry, because it doesn't serve them, me, or our relationship. It brings out the worst in me. Okay. So the first one is just stop. Stop, breathe, you walk away. Stop, breathe, walk away. And I can't say this enough. Please don't just hear this as like, oh, because Junior says that. But in a moment, the first time I remember I applied this was actually with my husband. We were having a disagreement, and I had so much to say, right? Blah, 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 blah. And I literally had to clench my teeth, and I just walk away. With every step I walk, everything he said, I wanted to turn around and really lambast him back. But I knew that it's my lack of self-control if I continue to allow this to happen. So I turn, I walk, and I just walk away. And as I walk away into the living room, I could still hear him in the background. And trust me, so much of my emotions were raging. I wanted to go in and like give him like my point of view, right? But I decided to just let it be. And that was the beginning. That's most memorable for me, because that was the beginning of me beginning to stop, like really stop and walk away. Okay, the second one, praise. Why? Because praise empowers. So, you know, the number one reason why your child is acting up, it's not because they're trying to be difficult, but it's because their emotional reserve is low. So the attention rule is that kids want attention, and they are going to get it one way or the other. Ideally positive, but even your bad attention works too. So I'll give you an example. Remember, my daughter just yesterday afternoon, she was telling me, I was just sitting doing my work, right? And then she came, I am not going to do my work. So we have this thing that after they finish their work, then at night we'll watch one 40-minute episode of Flash or Arrow for now. And then I just nodded lah. I mean, no need to clash, right? Don't do law. It's very clear what you need to do before you get your privilege. So if you choose not to do, obviously to me, it's joined together, right? The privilege is taken away by your choice, by your actions. So I just kept quiet and nodded. And this attention rule was so clear to me as I saw it. She proceeded to tell her younger brother who was playing in front of me, boy, Cheche is not going to watch Flash tonight. Guess what she was trying to do? Obviously, it wasn't for her brother. It was for my ears. I just smiled, okay? So again, don't react, okay? Just stay calm, you know? And then my son asked her, why? You know, being 3 years old, he's just like, you know, why? Just lovingly. And then she said, because I don't want to do my work. So the short of this, right, is basically, as I ignore her, I told my son look at me and ask me why, right? Why I'm not going to allow Jie to watch. And I told him very firmly, Jie has decided not to watch because she's not doing her work. Doing her work will automatically equals this, right? And I left it as that. You want to know what's the amazing thing? So that's why I say space, create a space. So often we want to deal with the issue here, right now. But I left it as that. She continued to throw her tantrum, to be very frank. She scattered some cards on the floor. When she scattered, I looked at her, no anger. I said, darling, you know you're going to have to clear that up, right? She, and then scatter more, but I didn't react. The old junior would have reacted and made her clean up immediately. This time, no, let her vent. Just before dinner, okay, which is probably a span of about half an hour, we were all sitting at the dinner table. And then I was wondering where she is. And I saw her, right, at our table doing her homework. And this is where I want to say, praise. Often, our emotional tank is not enough, where our parents don't praise us enough. So you know what I did immediately? Loudly, okay? I told her siblings how proud I was. I basically told them, hey, look at what Alexis is doing. I'm so proud of her for choosing to be responsible and make effort to do her homework, even though she may not have wanted to. And then very quickly, I called her to the table when she joined us again. So that was praising her in front of her sisters, right? But obviously, she heard a bit about it. She heard it. When she came to the table, I looked at her directly and I said, love, I'm so proud of you because you chose to watch the show and take the actions that will lead to that. She looked at me and she smiled. Okay, this is, you have to understand now, for the past 1 hour, she was wearing a scowl and angry with everyone who dared to come near her, right? So why I'm sharing this is, oh, and I forgot to say, for the record, while this sounds simple, this has been happening for 1 week. So for about a week, she's been throwing her tantrum, not wanting to do her homework. And I've just been quiet about it. So when I talk about being strong-willed, really a space gives us and them probably sanity to just express ourselves, okay? So always remember praise. And so let's praise more. Now, as we move on to the third one, S.P.A.C.E, I want to do basic psychology 101 using Maslow's hierarchy, okay? Where if you look at the diagram there, the first three stages matter, but I want to move on to the fourth stage, okay, which is the self-esteem need. So basically, for those of you who can't see or you're listening to this on the go, Maslow is a very famous American psychologist who says that we all have these needs. And I think it's beautiful that he calls them needs. A need is something that we are wired to have, that we innately call out for. So for example, when the plant needs water and sunlight to grow, we don't scold the plant and say, you're so stupid, you need food, you need sunlight and water, right? We just generously give. And I want us to adopt the same approach for ourselves, where we generously embrace that this is what it is to be human, okay? So at a basic level, psychological needs, right? Air, water, food, shelter. Most of us have that settled. The second one is safety needs, personal security, employment, my health, my property, where there's stability. And then we move on to love and belonging, where it's what I talked about earlier, where our kids' bad behavior, in another session I've covered, if you look at my YouTube video, it's always a call, not for the superficial symptoms that gets us reacting, but the need, the inner need is for love and belonging. They want to know that you love me, regardless of how naughty I am, how disrespectful I am, how bad a day I'm having. And aren't we all the same? Don't we want to come back to a place where we can just be who we are and know that I'm unconditionally loved and accepted for who I am? Okay, so that's what they're crying out for whenever there's bad behavior, okay? I'm not going to go into that. Today, I want to focus on esteem. Esteem needs, right? And this is where power struggle comes. We're talking about self-esteem, status, recognition, strength. Specifically, I want to cover autonomy. And then many people ask me, Junior, when should... so you know what autonomy is, right? It's freedom. It's the freedom to choose what I want to do because it's my life. It's my body, what clothes I choose to wear, what hairstyle I choose to have, right? So I want to go into this. We all want freedom and control over our lives, right? So esteem need is where we get a sense of who we are in relation to others. So Some people ask me, Junior, how young should we give them control? My answer, as young as possible. And let me share with you why. Yesterday morning, I was doing my work and then I walk out of the study room. And as I walk out of the study room, I saw my 3-year-old son. It was so cute. I wish I'd taken a picture. He was sitting like that at the table next to my helper, like that. Like sad face. In front of him was a coloring book. So I assumed immediately that he's supposed to be coloring, right? But his sad face was just so cute, right? So both seemed to quietly call out for help because my helper was sitting there like quite upset. So he also quite upset. So I went to him and I was like, darling, and then I saw 3 color pencils on the table. I picked up 3. Darling, so autonomy means giving, so autonomy, I want to move into the next one, C, which is choices, right? I showed him the 3 colors. Which one is your favorite? His eyes literally perked up, like, you're not going to tell me where to color what? And he pointed to the blue one. I was like, oh, okay, very good. Now you choose one for mommy. And by now he was beaming because, oh my goodness, mom, you are going to let me choose something for you? And he chose, I think, red. Like, I really can't remember. And that was not the point, right? And then I pushed it even more. So as we give our kids more choices, you will realize that their need for autonomy is being fed. So they resist more, they oppose more. Because they resist us less, they oppose us less, because if they are giving freedom and choices throughout the day, and then it's perfect opportunity for us to teach them how to be responsible for the consequences of those actions or decisions they make. Another day we'll cover that. But so I pointed to back to the coloring book. I asked him, so where do you want me to color? By now he was so happy, he took his color pencil and then he pointed to a spot. I said, okay, I will color here. And then where do you want to color? So in just 4 questions, if you answered, I asked him, number 1, what color he likes, which color I should be coloring, where I should be coloring, and where he wants to color. He was happily coloring. And it took like less than 30 seconds, to be very frank. So what I do, right, in the house is I really let my children have a lot more autonomy, options, choices, because the more we give them the choice, number 1, it creates the opportunity for us to teach them, right? Like, okay, maybe that wasn't the best, and to process it with them. Number 2, the less power struggles we have. So for example, routines, right? I do have routines. I don't tell them when you come back, you must bathe and eat first. No, I tell them in 45 minutes, it's up to you. Bathe or eat, it's up to you. You can even rest as long as it's completed within 45 minutes. The order, they get to say. So when kids grow up like that, they feel like, hey, I am being respected. My opinions matter. I matter. And the esteem need in what Maslow shares is basically, in essence, what we all want to, whether as a kid or even as an adult. We all just want to be recognized that for who we are. That sense of significance, that I am a contributing factor, that I matter. So that's what they're crying out for. And finally, I want to go into E. E stands for experiential learner. If you have any questions, please feel free to type it in, yeah? I will quickly try to cover them at the end of this, which is soon. So when I say experiential learner, I would say I'm in identification. Why? In the past, for me, I think it was so painful for my mother, right? Because it didn't matter if she was right. It didn't matter if what she thought was the best for me. I remember even telling her this when I was in primary school. One day she was out of exasperation. She was like, why can't you just do what I'm telling you to do? And I looked at her and I was like, Ma, can I tell you the truth? I know what you're telling me, right, comes from a good space. I know you care for me. But Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't ask to be wired like that. Mom, I need to make the mistakes myself. And that's where I learned at a deeper level. Because if I do just what you say, at the back of my mind, there will always be a question. What if I had tried this way? Even if you say don't do this, what if I tried this way? Maybe you couldn't do it, but maybe I can jump over the drain. Small example. She looked at me and I said, Mom, do you want to know like how we can connect? Even if you... And I know, Mom, you're trying to stop me from falling into this pit hole. So for example, there's a pit hole right in front. My mom is saying, don't jump. She's standing in front of the pit hole trying to protect me. And I so get that even as a primary school child. And I said, Mom, you know what would serve me best? If you step away, you let me jump. And if I fall in, you don't say, see, I told you, I said don't jump, you jump. No. But Mom, when I fall, you look and I look out needing help. You reach out your hand and say, come, love. I'm here for you, and you pull me out. Because that would have given me a relationship with my mom. So you see, my mom heard that, but she never actually got that. And so for 30 years of my life as we grew up, right, she was always trying to make me comply because she was a compliant kid, okay? There's nothing wrong. I remember I talk about personalities and temperaments. So what worked easily for her was so difficult for me. And she couldn't adjust her parenting style. And that was why we never had a relationship. We had a horrible parent-child relationship when I was growing up, where I know I caused her a lot of pain. I'm not proud of it, but that's what it is. And I'm sharing from my pain so that it does not have to be our experience for us and our children. Because we know that we would give anything, we would give our lives for them. And yet so often, just because we want to be right, we insist we know what's best, we coerce them into compliance, we lose the relationship. Okay? Helpful and practical session for you. Join me this Thursday if you have a preteen or teenager, because if we're honest, their issues seem larger. So for example, if they're in primary school, at most it's just shouting matches, they talk back to you. Teenager, how? I'm not coming back, mom. They don't call back. Addicted to games. You don't know the company they're hanging out with. So we think, so this is what I want to say, right? Then, and even worse, right, if they are indifferent or distant. Okay, so the teenager is where the problems seem to explode. But I'm actually, I wanted to just do the teenager, but I'm starting with this primary school phase first because this is preventive, right? And someone was telling me, Junior, you should just work on problems, you know. You do preventive, and nobody will listen to you, and they will hear and then sound good, and then they won't act on it because the pain is not there. But if I can intervene, this is why this session is for, okay? So we all think, for those of you who have teenagers or preteens, that it's the teenage years and it's a phase we have to accept, right? Where they are being distant, don't want to share more things with us, their friends become more important. What if I told you it doesn't have to be this way? Okay, I have a teenager, trust me. So I see you this Thursday at 8 a.m. And if you enjoyed, please subscribe, follow, and share this with friends who can benefit. Till then, you have a blessed start to your week. See you.